hijacking attempt outside a Pretoria nursery school conducted by what seems to be fake police officers. We seem to have a lot of those around. Now, to talk to us today about some of these hijacking trends and to give us a few tips on how you can stay safe and stay out of harm's way, we're joined by the Chief Operating Officer of Tracker here in South Africa, Mr. Ron Knott-Craig. Very good morning to you, sir.
Morning, Evan. Thank you for the opportunity.
I'm a little bit concerned. I suppose all people that are on social media are a little bit concerned when you see the kind of footage that we've seen doing the rounds. How do you guys view this kind of thing? And is it something that the public should heed and be a little bit more alert about?
Evan, we're very concerned about hijackings of this nature. And clearly the public should be educated and made as aware as possible of how to prevent being hijacked. These kind of incidents do happen from time to time. But we found that the hijackings that we've experienced from the statistics on the Tracker customer base, this is the exception rather than the norm.
Yeah, we see this kind of scenario playing itself out in traffic, in sort of broad daylight. Is this the basic method that's being used? It seems to be a very brazen scenario playing out, or is there other places where the public should be more alert? Should it maybe be in the home, the like?
Well, that is one method that they are using, and we encourage customers to be very aware of being distracted by passers-by, especially people that pass by on the passenger side of the vehicle. But from our experience, there are two main methods of hijacking. The one is hijacking that takes place in a residential driveway where the victim is boxed in by the vehicle of the hijacker. And the other is where vehicles are being hijacked by a vehicle which is marked as a law enforcement agency vehicle, or the occupants are dressed in a uniform of a law enforcement agency, and they pull these vehicles off the road and take the goods that are on board. They're normally high-value goods such as cell phones, smartphones, flat-screen TVs, and possibly cigarettes.
Yeah. I've got some statistics here that you provided us. It's a little bit worrying in its own. It says, of course, the driveways that you're talking about, 50% of hijackings take place there, but 80%, it says here, at shopping centres and over weekends. Is that a specific peak that people should be on the lookout for? It seems here in Gauteng especially, we live around our shopping centres, and suppose that's the soft underbelly of society that's been targeted.
Yes, indeed. Please remember that these are the statistics that Tracker has. Our customer base is not necessarily representative of the South African car park. But we have found that up to 80% of vehicle theft incidents do take place at shopping centres, schools, and social events. Yeah. So customers must be aware that when they go to a social event, for example, try and park your vehicle in a safe place to try and prevent your vehicle from being stolen.
We see a lot of warnings now when you drive into an ultra city, or that be aware of criminals. They use remote tracking devices and so forth. What other kinds of technology should people be on the lookout for, and how do you change your behavior to deal with that?
I don't quite understand the question here.
You know, remote locking devices that are being used. Is that problematic, that they jam your car and you can't lock your car?
Yes, they do. They use a normal gate remote, such as you and I would use to open or close our electrical gate at home. You see, those gate remotes work on a frequency within the public frequency spectrum, a selected spectrum. Very many of the vehicle remotes also work on a frequency within that public frequency spectrum. And so when you get out of your vehicle, before you actually lock your car or press the remote, the criminal will press the remote, and the radio frequency waves that are emitted interfere with the radio waves that are transmitted when you press your remote. As a result of that, your vehicle doesn't lock. The only way to avoid that is to make sure that once you try to lock your car, check the handle.
Check the handle, check the door. Yeah. Common sense must prevail at the end. I wanted to, without trying to be hysterical about it, which kind of neighbourhoods are most at risk, not just here in Gauteng, but maybe if you can point at one or two others, so that people can be a little bit more aware of where and when they are?
Yeah, but that's a tough one. We we obviously know from our statistics exactly where hijacking incidents are taking place. But we don't just share that information. And there's good reason for that. Firstly, when we detect an increase in hijacking in certain areas, we focus on that area and deploy resources in order to try and catch the perpetrators. Furthermore, the syndicates target suburbs randomly. It really is a moving target. And what might be a higher risk area, if you like, or a higher risk suburb today, it isn't necessarily so tomorrow or the next week. So I think it's more important for the public to be aware of what they can do to prevent a hijacking rather than publishing this information on a daily basis.
This is what I'm hoping to conclude with. If you can maybe a couple of general tips that you can give to the public out there to deal with this, but also to keep yourself generally safe.
Okay. We'd encourage the public to go to Tracker's website, www.tracker.co.za. We produced a video specifically to create awareness about safety regarding hijackings. And a couple of tips there. Firstly, when you come home, get into homecoming mode, which means become aware, become vigilant when you enter into your neighborhood. Switch off your cell phone if you can, switch off your radio, and become aware of what is happening around you. Generally, these hijackings, the residential ones where you get boxed in, they happen from about 4 o'clock in the afternoon till about 9 o'clock at night. The customers are tired, they've had a long day at the office, and they're not as aware as they must be. You actually have to force yourself physically to do it. And then when you approach your home, never turn into the driveway, stop in the road, open the gate, and then go inside. If you plan a quick stop at a convenience store, an ATM or whatever, be aware who's around you, because that's where they identify their potential victims and then follow you home. And then, of course, if you're being followed, there are 1 or 2 things that you can do to try and put the hijackers off. Simply adjusting your rear view mirror or looking over your shoulder is enough normally to put the hijackers off. Alternatively, you can press and hold your hooter. That's the last thing they want, is to attract attention to themselves. And those are just some of the things that you can do to keep yourself safe and prevent being hijacked.
So common sense must prevail.
Always, Urban.
Thank you.
There's no substitute for that.
Thank you for coming in and telling us what's going on. At times, it can be lonely out there and it feels very dangerous. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Urban.
That's the Chief Operating Officer of Tracker South Africa, Mr. Ron Knott-Craig, joining us here today. You're watching Newsroom. Time for us.